We're going to put in the directions to Bluffton, South Carolina. We left Sarasota this morning. We're making our way up. We'll finish tomorrow in North Charleston. But we were invited by the Straumann rep to meet some of his top customers. There's a big oral surgery practice. I think they have 3 or 4 offices, 7 surgeons. They're really not doing anything with digital workflow in terms of photogrammetry, design, print, same-day temps. More of their stuff is stackable guides, smile in a box maybe, type of scenario where they have pre-stacked PMMAs or picking up temp cylinders. So I'm here with Luis Flores, and then I've got another guy coming in from Connecticut. But we've scheduled a handful of patients, dual arches, for this week, and then another handful in April. And our goal is to basically teach and train them how to use the photogrammetry system, how we can remote in and design for them and load it right into the 3D printers. Hey, we're here in Bluffton, South Carolina, because we're going to do 3 back-to-back days with multiple surgeons in different offices. Focus on the specialists, periodontists and oral surgeons, and help them implement some of these digital technologies that some of these quote-unquote super GPs are doing all in-house. And so we're here for the next 3 days, and we'll shoot some good content and kind of show you what we're doing.
And of course, show you doctors how to implement these different workflows into your practice, into your daily routine. Please let us know whatever questions you have, and we'll be here to help you.
One of the things that's nice about traveling too is we get to see different parts of the country and meet some really great clinicians. So if you just look right over here, we're in Bluffton, which I've personally never been. Luis has never been. It's about a 6.5 hour car ride from Sarasota. And then tomorrow, after our surgeries in Bluffton, we'll travel north and go to Charleston. But just looked up some different areas in Bluffton, and this Church of the Cross was one of the top places to check out. It's been here for almost 200 years, I think. But beautiful, beautiful scenery, a little bit different than what we're used to in South Florida. And we hope to travel to other parts of the United States and help oral surgeons, periodontists, and join the Team MDA digital workflow. You'll see a lot of stuff.
How many states more to go? 50, 50 more to go.
We've been to quite a few. What do you think, 30?
30, exactly.
I think we work with dentists in different states in like 44 different states or something like that. And we just shipped a hybrid up to Alaska 2 days ago. And that's a trip that I'd love to make, but you're talking...
First year I went to 14.
2 days flights. Yeah, how many did you go to in the first year?
14 states.
You flew all the way from Florida to...
Vegas.
Florida to Vegas, Florida to Washington State.
New York.
Did a double arch surgery, and then the next week they said, hey, I got another dual arch. And you're like, I'm not flying back to Washington State.
No, forget about it.
So it's nice, it'll be nice when we can jump in the small plane and get up here in 2 hours.
Travel.
But the drive wasn't bad today, so it'll be a fun, action-packed week for everybody. And hopefully we can get some good content. We also got Steve Carnine flying in from our Bristol location. And we opened up a satellite office in Bristol probably, I think it was 2020, right when COVID hit. And so that's really been growing for us. It's mostly digital and removable, and we offer chairside services up in that location. So Steve's gonna fly in and he'll meet up with us tomorrow night and then be working with us on Thursday and Friday. And then he'll fly down again. I think this group of oral surgeons has another 10 arches booked in April.
Dr. Aaron Sarathi. I'm one of the oral and maxillofacial surgeons here at Charleston Oral and Facial Surgery, working with the guys from Midwest today on a full arch hybrid case, implementing some new technology, revolutionizing the way that we do these cases and getting the patient outcome to the best it could possibly be.
Pot,
And trying
weighting
it,
it and trying it in. With digital, it's like, oh, I can see here, I've got 1 millimeter pressure along the ridge. I know with the plan, hey, everything's flat along the ridge.
Right.
The implants are right at the crest or slightly subcrestal. You've got 3.5 millimeter MUAs. Like, I know where I can put pressure and where I can't.
Yeah.
So that way you're not worrying about seating something and
It's
picking.
crazy that you mentioned that. But it's like, back when we used to do this free-handed, you had the prosthodontist or whatever standing over your shoulder telling you the bone reduction and all that stuff. And even then, there was so much workload on the backside with the temporaries. But being able to do all that digitally now, that's a game changer. I mean, that's a really, really big.
Like in her case, she had maybe 6 lower teeth.
Yeah.
So, from a preoperative position, it's not a real stable and accurate way to capture a bite.
No.
That's why we go back and forth. It's like, hey, do you want to use a bone
Bone
screw,
level,
or do you want to use a bone screw, for a pre-scan, or do you want to use the indexing reference denture, and then you're setting the vertical, and that just allows us that more predictable bite. So at delivery, you can see she's got even contacts on both sides. Where the same goes with a lot of times it's like, oh, the guides didn't work. When you stack those PMMAs, well, if that pre-op scan in the deep class 2 is open virtual and articulator, those PMMAs are made
off of
an arbitrary bite alignment, and so that's where you don't have that flexibility,
Well, and this also gives you the ability to change that vertical like intra-op too, which is that's a game changer in itself, because you can't. It seems like you're really limited when you're doing it with a conventional setup with it, but.
And I would rather err on the side that, hey, we might have to open them a little bit more than to
but how much easier does it now?
To increase, to increase the vertical so much where we have problems with freeway space, or they're hitting their teeth when they talk. So, if we needed to come back and say, I think we can show about 2 millimeters more display on the lower teeth or upper teeth, that's where I take that leaf gauge bite. And essentially now I've got the patient's true opening, and then just reposition the wax ups in that arch, adapt it to the new tissue, new photogrammetry. It's perfect.
It's slick. I got to tell you, man.
That was good, man. It was nice.
That was an awesome case.
To come to Bluffton today, and
we're happy to have you, man.
We'll be back next month.
Yeah.
We planned this case a couple weeks ago. The oral surgeon's assistant sent in all the data. So we've got trio scans, CBCT data, patient photos. Surgery started this morning. Now we're gonna get ready to design the teeth. We've just acquired upper and lower ICAM data, 1 intraoral soft tissue scan or a 360 wash. We merge the data, design and print teeth. And we can predictably do that dual arch in about 2 hours to 2.5 hours. So it'll be a good workflow to show these surgeons today, because they're used to guided cases where they're stacking teeth on top of guides. And in double arch cases especially, it can be very difficult to set that occlusion properly. And if you want to deviate from plan, you're kind of restricted when you have a milled PMMA already stacked on a guide, and if you're off just a little bit, midlines can be off, bites can be off, and then you're essentially making a one-off appliance for that patient. So if there's any, fractures or failures, you're starting over. And in digital, now we can design 3D print, and we can rapid prototype and make several duplicate copies for this patient to be in provisionals. All right, we're here in Charleston, day 2. Tomorrow we'll finish up with the double arch. Today we got a surgery with Dr. Oliphant. This is Anthony from Straumann. He's actually the man who connected us with this big group of oral surgeons. Tell us about why you reached out to Midwest Dental Arts and what was your goal behind bringing our team up from Florida this week.
We've been doing a lot of arches down here in Charleston, and the one thing that they've been noticing a lot is trying to make it more efficient and have less issues. So they've been looking into more of a digital workflow for quite some time now, and this just seemed like a great fit with what you guys have been doing for so long now, working with the ICAM, which is a partner that we have. So yeah, we've been really excited, and first case went well.
We look forward to today and tomorrow. Our goal this week is to basically train the office and the digital workflow so that we can have our team of designers then remote in for future cases, and then we can just work cases remotely, teach the assistants how to print their own cases, how to finish, and how to deliver consistently. So I appreciate the invitation and look forward to today.
Sounds good.
We're at Charleston Oral Facial Surgery, the North Charleston location, but they have a beautiful teaching and training center up here for the referring doctors. There's 7 or 8 oral surgeons in this group, and they have multiple locations. We've got a real deep bite here. Got a lot of lower bone. So the guide, we'll have a positioning guide here, and that's where we're going to reduce the bone to that level. Once the bone's flat, we'll then place the osteotomy guide. And then
did you want a picture
right here, we're going to do the MUAs and indexing denture on top of that. Today we're going to talk about surgical protocols. We've got 2 different techniques that we use, either a palatal bone screw, so a reference marker, or we use denture design, and we use that as an index using PVS light body impression material. I've got the design pulled up on my computer right now of the dentures upper and lower. We also have a pre-designed hybrid set up. So we're going to walk into the surgical suite, and I'm going to show you what this looks like. So you're going to see us use this palatal reference screw. They come in 2 different lengths, but this will actually go in and we'll scan this and the existing teeth before we even start surgery. This will reference to the pre-op scans to where the wax up sits in the exocad design, and then once the implants are in, the MUAs are in, we're going to do a final sutured tissue scan, and this reference point will always be the same. What we have set up here is upper and lower guides, so it's just a fully guided non-stackable solution. We also have the pre-op model, the model with the teeth reduced, and then this is what I was referring to as the index reference denture. So this is the diagnostic wax up denture setup. We'll use some fast set light body in here once the implants are in, and we can 360 scan that with the Trio scan. This is a good option when you're doing a dual arch, especially if you're concerned about the bite. We can do an upper wash, lower wash, and set the occlusion over the MUAs, and then adapt all the information and 3D print the teeth to go directly on the implants. And you'll see that today. So if a patient comes in, they're typically looking for the cosmetic like veneers, or is it full arch,
Full arch.
full mouth reconstruction?
Yeah. I mean, people who are a lot of recovering addicts who have turned their life around.
Yeah.
And then you know how what drugs does to
Sure.
your teeth.
Oh yeah.
So they have nowhere to turn.
When you see a patient, they go first to the photo studio.
Yes. Yep. And Eve does it all.
You do all the photos, huh? I'm Justin.
Nice to meet you.
Great photography.
She does everything. She does the photos, the face scans, the CBCT, the intraoral scans. I sit down, introduce myself, and then typically we're doing almost everything same day dentures, same day veneers, mock-ups, smile designs. Me, Eve, or Mike doing the design, or Alan.
Because my thought was, like when I've been seeing patients, you know, as a technician for almost 20 years, but then the evolution of printing, and then we got the chairside team. So I've got 11 guys all over the country.
That's awesome.
So, hey, I got a dual arch case. Okay, where are you at? Do you need our service? So we'll either plan and do remote designing, or we'll plan the flight and do design
That's cool,
for
right
the
there.
surgery.
Yeah, wow.
And so the dentist's like, oh, I got another case. Can you come back?
That's what you did today, right?
Yeah. So like we did 3 consecutive days, and then just in the 3 days, hey, can you go talk to this patient for a consult? We have another like 11 arches we're taking back to do the designs and the planning, so that next time we come back, we'll see those patients. We'll come in, and my goal is, if you're a volume kind of person and you want that consistency, like you've got to invest in a printer. You've got to get into some kind of photogrammetry style. Let us come in there and show you how to use the equipment, and then we can kind of back off and just service them remotely. And then also we've got the manufacturing side to mill zirconia and finish zirconia and do all of that.
But the hands-on is key. Hard to teach on over a phone.
Yeah, dude, I'll FaceTime and be like, what, you know, like I was in surgery yesterday and the guy's like, can you FaceTime real quick? And it was a case I had set up previously. My technician was in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Well, it's 17 implants, 9 different brands, you know, Toman, Straumann, tissue level, so that you got the Medentica RN, MUAs, and he's like, does this connection look right? A lot of those, you know, we're flying in to help with patients that have already been in a full rehab that's failing.
Yeah, well, that's the dirty secret, right? All the failed rehabs that you have to contend with, and then,
That's my daily thing almost anymore.
and then the mess of, do they even make components for it anymore, and what are you doing? And then a lot of people don't even know what kind of pre-surgery, mid-surgery scans they need for proper alignments. And it's getting to be kind of like the wild, wild west out there. So it's cool that you're going around and actually teaching people the right way, because there's not a lot of people doing that.
I mean, especially if you have like remote design services, when you're dealing with surgery cases, and if you get the upload, like for example, ICAM. Oh yeah, I took the ICAM data. If you don't know how to save it, or save the geometries, or export the geometries, and then put it in the shared Dropbox folder during surgery, this back and forth game, be like, I thought I told you how to do it.
Transfer alone could be, you know,
and so
hours.
they're like, hey, I sent the case, everything's ready. How'd you send it? Oh, we sent it through Trios. It's like, dude, just literally export the STL files and drag them into the patient's folder. You know, like that turnaround.
Well, that's what people need to know.
Yeah. And so we taught all that the last 3 days.
Awesome.
So now all the CBCT data, the pre-op photos, the pre-op scans, you know, scanning and how to evaluate the photos before you take bite registrations. Like, how many cases on these full rehabs with implants, you've got a couple teeth, you know, that's why we did that video with
you need a tooth or two to help you.
Yeah, we took that video, you know, with your Fox
I
plane.
saw the Fox plane. You guys printed it on like a
printed
bamboo
on
or something.
yeah.
So actually the patient that we came in today was fully edentulous, had 0 teeth, didn't even know where to close.
Right.
And we were able to establish vertical. We have the printed VDO gauge that we use. It's
I think I have this file.
and then we slapped them in the mod record system, and we were able to actually do full edentulous records in about 30 minutes with Eve.
I mean that from a digital standpoint, like, hey, do you guys, I know you guys are full service, do you guys do wax rims? Well, I don't. You know, we're a full service lab. Yes, we can do wax rims, but that kind of defeats the purpose of where we're going.
Yeah.
And what we can do digitally to get your vertical established, or
Like, dude,
a pre-established bite, you know?
I don't know what scanner, you guys are heavy 3-shape, right?
We've got 3 Shinings. I've got the Medit i700, i900, and Trios.
This is gonna blow your mind.
Dude, the Shining one's sick.
The Shining 6. So if you're doing the mod denture record system in the Shining, you just call it a bite rim, and it will auto merge.
Yeah, I saw it.
So the patient this morning, you have to look at how incredible this merge was with the jigs. Let me just go back.
I saw the one that you guys did last week.
With the auto merge?
Yeah, with the auto merge. And I was shocked because how I've had to do this in the past is I duplicate the 360 scan, or actually triplicate, make 3, and then I trim out everything. So I've got my alignments, but I have to trim and invert the mesh. And I do that in Medit design. It takes me 30 seconds, but the fact that you can literally take a scan and it merges, it's amazing.
So we got an upper and lower edentulous jaw. But first of all, look at like,
oh, the scanning's amazing.
Scanning, like getting all the way back into the retromylohyoid fossa. This patient, and then check this out, with the mod tray, we call it a record base, and the scans will auto align top and bottom. So when I take off the tray, I have the perfect vertical established here between my arches, and then I make a face scan with that and then I pin it in exocad right to design. That's how we do same-day dentures. I actually light body wash my putty to make it even better for the
more
merge.
Detail, and that
just
goes,
boom.
yeah.
And they're so accurate, because when I bring in an exo and I try to repin it, it's just as good here. There's no need to repin.
So when you have a patient that existing denture wear, you're using the existing denture, are you kind of border molding, or you just take scans of that denture, no wash?
No, so what I like to do, I always design, and this is blasphemy, but I always design off the intraoral scans. I will just use the old denture as a vertical reference.
Right.
So,
but you'll take a wash inside
I always
of
wash
that.
it. Because I want the alignment between my iOS and that to be perfect.
Yeah.
So there's no cant or anything occlusion-wise. You don't have to touch anything.
Right.
And there's the way that I design an exocad is I add selective pressure back to the intraoral scan, not just the posterior palatal area, but borders and other areas like retromylohyoid fossa, so that the denture from the digital impression has insane retention. And then in exocad, a lot of people don't know this, when you do your virtual wax at bottom, and you know how it likes to do 17% smoothing, and it will do a 30 micron gap, and all that stuff. You just wipe all that for an iOS scan. Zero smoothing, zero gap. Don't touch my scan. Allow undercuts all the way up to a 0.5 millimeter. 30-degree blockout angle. And I'm telling you, the retention you will get will blow your mind.
And then on your printer, what resins are you doing? Are you doing a printed Trian to confirm, or are you just doing? Are you doing base and teeth?
Base and teeth, straight to final.
Straight to final.
It's next day or same day dentures for us. And with Sprint Ray, like with the split arch tray, you could print the teeth and the base. We have multiple printers, so it's not as big of a deal for us. But for your average office that has one printer, it could be a big deal for same day dentures. Now, if you collaborate with the designer, a lot of people get held up on like the exocad design, but imagine like the designer's on standby. Got the scans, and they're beautiful, and you send them to the designer, off to the printer in 30 minutes or so, and you're ready to go.
Some of my friends, Ben Tyndall and Parker Mitchell, came up.
Oh,
did
yeah,
your
good
course.
people.
Then Parker, he was already really advanced in designing his own guides, 3D printing. I mean, he's got that tech mind. And now that he's able to do the denture designs himself.
Yeah, he's an animal.
I mean, it's like now he's
so good. I think also, it's funny because a lot of labs and stuff are scared of dentists dabbling in design, but the reality of it is
it makes them better.
It makes them better, because when they send you stuff now, they're like, they know what they need.
Well, it's just like labs would get frustrated. Oh, my client just bought a CEREC. Great. And it's like now they can see what they've been sending us. Their preps are going to get better.
It makes it better.
They're going to understand what they're, so.
I think every dentist should do some design.
I haven't focused on like single tooth from a lab. There's no reason for me.
It's a race to the bottom.
Yeah, I've focused on just
bigger stuff.
Yeah, the bigger treatment planning.
We do some stuff in-house with milling. I mean, we have 30 printers in here, two puck mills, but a lot of the stuff that we do is really geared towards how can we better educate dentists to do better stuff for the labs, better records.
Yeah.
In this particular environment, it's kind of the dream where I'm not running hygienes.
No,
I could slow down and do bigger cases, and I really don't have to rush through things, where my team is incredible.
Yeah.
Photos, face scans, CBCT, intraoral scans, all merged and collated in about 15 to 30 minutes.
This scan here.
The Ray Face, yeah.
Of all the facial scanners, this one is the fastest and the most detailed in terms of color, right?
Yeah, well, the tooth mesh density is nice for merging, and that's what you need. Vectra actually has the best color.
Okay.
But the mesh density
is not good.
It's just so smooth. So you're not actually able to do best fit alignment. You're more doing manual pinning. Whereas with Ray Face, you could do some best fit and have it settle in.
Because I love having the photos pulled up on the side. And then if I have a facial scan, but like I'm still referencing back. with a good series of photos.
Photos are so valuable.
And then two, even when we go in and do the training, like I went through all the photos that we provided before we came up.
Yeah.
And then we went through on
What you
the
could do
proper
better.
photos.
Yeah.
Because so many times you're like, oh, did you take photos? And the patient's still sitting in the chair.
Their head's like this.
Their head's like, their head's
Yeah.
like this or back. And now all of a sudden it's like, the photos are useless.
No, I get it. And I always tell dentists, like, they want to get a face scan, and that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd much rather have just 2 amazing photos of a retracted and a smile that I could use
100%.
than anything else, right? So I think it's really important. We do focus a lot on records.
When you have them, this is always fixed to this height.
Fixed. Tripod doesn't move.
And then
Stool.
what's your stool height then for the
stool,
photos?
the stool goes up and down based off of the patient's height. And we move the stool from there to here.
Because that's what I tell them too, is like they have to be in a stool and they have to be sitting upright.
Yep.
And then, you know, if you got a real short assistant, you got a real tall 6'5"
change.
guy, you need to be able to get on the right.
You got to move. You got to be able to move
Right
the
height.
stool. The other thing that I say that's really important is lighting. We're a blessing and a curse with the
Yeah.
ocean view. We get a lot of natural light.
But you're shooting like f/20 for portraits and a high.
Yeah, high f-stop.
Yeah.
Big depth of field.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of light coming in.
Yeah.
So this is the record that we took on the lady today. Basically, interpupillary line, midline, Frankfurt horizontal. You get it all. You do a maxillary index first.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Get that stable, then you
Yep.
pop this thing off. You don't need it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why you want the maxilla impression parallel to Frankfurt and everything is so that when you go to capture your bite and centric relation for the mandible index,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have a trace sticking down
Yeah.
that's going to interfere with your bite. That's the main reason that we want it. And so then we get this and we just scan this thing as a record base.
Okay.
The scans just come flying in, as you saw.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, you're done. I remember the days of like 5 appointments for dentures.
So when you set that upper first,
Yep.
obviously there's no light body in it. Once
light
it's
body.
set, then you go back,
Do a wash.
real thin wash, back in the mouth. That stays in place, then into centric.
Then into centric with the putty on the bottom.
So once that wash is in place, you're not pulling that out. You're
No,
keeping that in
it's gonna be
place
locked in.
because that's locked in.
It's locked in.
Close them into centric.
Yeah, and people say, can I use this as my final impression? Yes and no. I mean, I would rather teams become comfortable with scanning. It's the holy grail. People say, you can't border mold. Where's your functional muscle movements?
In terms of a scanning, are you doing the intraoral scanning of the ridge or your assist?
I do for edentulous.
Yeah.
I do it.
And then what tools do you use in terms of retraction? So like
Yeah.
if you're gonna get the ridge,
Yeah.
sometimes I'll just use finger pull but if you're gonna go in and get that final vestibule capture, you're trimming bad data out and then going to get your extensions.